Welcome back to the podcast. Today we got Jeremy Bishop, and he's really going to help us show you how to grow your brand. Look, if you've got great ideas, and all of us do, and you want to bring them to the world, it's useless if no one can see your brand. And Jeremy has done this for countless others, and he's going to show us how to build your brand in a digital world today. I'm so excited about having you on. Jeremy, welcome.
Anthony, thank you very much. Look, slow and steady does not win this race, okay? If you want to go and build a big brand, you want people to know who you are and how you can help them in any industry, I promise you, you have to put gasoline on the fire, okay? And it has to happen fast. So I want to start by asking you, Anthony, if you've ever seen someone pop up in your feed, on your YouTube feed, on your Instagram, and all of a sudden you say, I've never seen that person before, but all of a sudden they are on every single podcast. Everything they touch turns to gold. And all of a sudden this person is on every speaking stage, every platform, and they become a superstar almost overnight. Okay. And there's a reason for that. And there are teams of people that help that happen. Okay. And so
it blows me away. When I see them, I'm always like, how are they doing that? Because like there's certainly some guys who, even just recently, I've seen him come out there. Vivek was one of those guys who, during the elections, I never even heard of the guy. Now all of a sudden, every time I turn on a Twitter feed, an Instagram feed, a YouTube, he's on every single and whatever side you're on. All of a sudden, he's on everything. I'm like, what's the team that's doing this?
Yeah. And what's the opportunity or the platform that takes you from 0 to 1,000? Okay. And so you look at Vivek as an example. All of a sudden he's on, the Full Send or the Nelk Boys or something like that, something young and hip with a massive audience. And he goes from completely unknown to every young entrepreneur or young hustler knows this person's name. And all of a sudden their personal brand is developed. So if you take Anthony or Jeremy and you just leave that name alone, that only has so much value. But if you put Anthony plus Joe Rogan or Anthony plus any massive platform, all of a sudden that end result is completely different. Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's really where the blowing up happens, right? It's not by chance. I think a lot of us are thinking, well, I'm going to say something somewhere that's going to get it's going to get blown up. It's going to be some video I do if I keep doing these videos over time. Now, I think there is some value, like with a podcast for me. I think there is some value. I feel like the first 500 podcasts I'm working on are all about practicing and getting some language so that as it blows up, I have a clear conversation I can communicate. Right. I think there is some value to the at reps and some of that stuff that you do, but that's not going to get, I don't know that I could do podcasting for the next 10 years. And by the way, I know lots of people who have, and they've never broken out.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, slow and steady is not how you win this race. And so if you want to elevate your name, you've got to find a platform, a strategy, a team of people that can create a brand new perception. Okay. And, success doesn't happen overnight. Okay. You have to back it up. Okay. With actually having a business, with actually being, the person you say you are when you come out as this big, let's say, celebrity status individual. I'm proud to say we've helped a lot of guys that have had tremendous success in their life, in their business, guys that do $1 billion a year in real estate production. And you know what? They had 900 followers. No one knew who they were. They were not getting invited to the YouTube channel. They were not getting invited to the speaking event. They didn't have partnerships coming their way. And they weren't using social media or their brand for really anything in their life or in their business. And so they wanted to tap into that. And that's what a team like ours with Influencer Club will do for some of our guys, is help them take the success they've created in real life and bring it to social, bring it and really match it with their brand. So yeah, like you said, I think it's kind of the horror story is the person that believes that if they just keep doing the same thing for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. Eventually, they'll go viral and all of the clients will flood in and the partnerships will flood in. And is that possible? Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
possible, very, very, very small percentage. I mean, if you're Justin Bieber, you go viral, you become this incredible sensation. Okay. But for most people, okay, that want to use and create their social to become kind of an asset in their business, in their ecosystem, okay, they have to be able to bring, okay, the gravity to their name. And you do that by creating really, really strong points within your ecosystem. So, of course, doing this podcast with you is just one example. If you're going to do one podcast, go do 50, go do 100, go do 500 of them. Go in volume and like I said, really pour the gasoline on when you decide you want to go get your name out there.
That breakthrough stuff that you're talking about, I've done, close to, I don't know, 400 podcasts now. And the gift is, look, I'm much more comfortable behind the mic, and I have, when you wonder what's the purpose of what we're doing? Why do you want to create brand identity? And look, all of us know, a lot of us feel, and there's a lot of conversation, well, I want to be rich. Well, I'm like, look, that is by the way, success and money is something that fleets. It comes and goes, right? If you want to get successful, right, you want to have the opportunity to have deal flow, right? In order to have deal flow, you've got to get seen, right? If you, in today's world of a digital environment, you can be all you want in your hidden little neighborhood, and you might have some opportunity there, but to really get to the place where you get the massive deal flow and have that breakout experience that you're talking about. You're gonna have to start to build that brand identity, and then when those opportunities get there, you got to be ready to take them on, right? You can't have the opportunities and blow them all apart.
Yeah. So I was having this conversation just yesterday, and we were talking about, this is a journey, just like anything. Growing the business, growing the brand, it's a journey. Now, you'll hear a lot of people say, and this is controversial, but you'll hear a lot of people say, I want to grow organically. Anthony, I want to grow organically. I want the perfect audience. I want to go slow and steady. And if I just reach 5 people, that'll help my business. And look, I'll never tell somebody how to go about their journey and figure it out. If that's what your heart tells you to do, absolutely. But I see how concerned a lot of my members and clients in the very beginning of kind of getting started. I see where they are most concerned. And it's these really, really small things that you shouldn't be trying to control. You have to think about the bigger picture. You have to think about, what do you really want this to do? So my question to anybody is, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, imagine you blow up. Okay, you have 100,000, 500,000 followers. You've got this massive name. You've been on every podcast. What do you want to happen because of that? Okay. So that'll drive and remind you that, how many likes you get on a photo today isn't so important in the grand scheme of things. Okay. If you're going to have 1 million followers, you should not be concerned about 1 or 2 or 5 of the followers that aren't your perfect audience. And by the way, I don't know about you, Anthony, but like, one message to somebody that I never thought I'd do business with, one message to somebody I'd never thought I'd connect with, and I built an incredible relationship with them. Yeah. So I'd encourage everybody out there to be searching and looking for those relationships, those new friends, new partners, new potential clients. Use social media for what it's actually there for, and worry less about all those little metrics and, how many views am I getting today? How many likes am I getting? A lot of the times, if you ask somebody why are they so concerned about that, they realize that how many views they get, whether it's 2,000 or 10,000, they still haven't built a new relationship or a new connection or used their brand for really what could affect and impact their life. And so, yeah, I hope that gives you something to kind of think about.
Look, for me with the podcast, it was one, I love reading, right? I loved reading books. I love reading. I read a book a week, and podcasting gives me the ability to meet those authors and those
Mm,
thinkers and bring those great ideas, and I get them right from the person who thought it. Because most books are really, they got one or two good ideas. I got to read through the rest of the crap to get to the one or two good ideas. And I do a podcast, and I get to bring that in. Now, ultimately, why do I do podcasting? Is I want to have access to people in my business life that maybe I wouldn't have access to without the podcast. Right. I
yep.
mean, I've been able to bring people on that end up building long-term great relationships. And we started as podcast people together. And really that's been the real gift, is that the friendships and relationships that lead to even a bigger picture. Now it also starts to give me some structure to, have some credibility in the industry, in the construction world or the AI world. I get to be in a place where, business leadership, I get to be of presence by doing this work,
Yep.
and that ultimately ends up feeding the other work out there. I think that's the ecosystem you're talking about. There's kind of a synergy to that ecosystem.
What you just said, I think is absolutely priceless. I think it is the most important reason that you would build this whole personal brand, right? It's not, we're not doing this just to make ourselves feel good and feel like a superstar. Okay, that's nice. But what you just said is, with your podcast or with a strong foundation, a strong personal brand, you have access to opportunities and people that otherwise you just might not have caught their attention. Okay. And I've seen that happen over and over and over again over the past 6, 7, 8 years of my journey and working with a few thousand people to open up those doors for them. So I've watched guys go from unknown, zero followers, no social media. Within 2 years, they're on Ryan Serhan's Netflix show. They've got a few 100,000 followers, and they have a flow of business they couldn't stop if they tried, right? And it happened in 2 years, not 10, 20. You watch guys, whether you like them or not, a Grant Cardone or a Gary Vaynerchuk or, a Damon John, Kevin O'Leary, Patrick Bet David. You watch these guys in just a few years, the growth that they have as a brand is absolutely exponential. Okay, so they've been doing their thing for 10, 20 plus years in their industry, but all it takes is 3, 4, 5 years for them to become the most known entrepreneurs in the entire world. They can have anyone on their podcast that they wish. They can have access to anybody that they'd like to speak with. And like you said, it creates a level of credibility. So everyone should be asking themselves whenever they're ready for it, how do I go put myself in a place where somebody is intrigued, interested, wants to have me on their show, wants to have me on their podcast, or vice versa, right? So that they can get into those networks.
Fun. It's a fun thing. I want to go back a little bit because I think some of that stuff when we talk about maybe the younger Tony, or when I grew up, I was Tony, right? Maybe younger Tony needed it to be seen. And some of my early business life was to be seen, to fill that need,
Yeah.
right? That one that wanted to be seen in the world. And the one that had, just that little boy inside that said, "Hey, I'm over here. The world wanted to see that." And maybe look, I could accept that part of what I was doing was fulfilling that need. And you get to a place in life where, great, now you are seen, but it's probably not, at least for me it wasn't very fulfilling. Right
Yeah.
now the next thing becomes is I get to start to work on, what do I get to do with this platform that I have? Right? What are the things I get to bring to light? The guests that I get the shine bright lights on, and the gift becomes what I get to give back. Right? Ultimately, it shifted from a kind of a me thing that needed to fulfill that little boy's need, right? Which is great. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But to a point where, all right, today I get to have a platform where I get to shine bright lights on other great people and give it back. And something about that becomes even more fulfilling, right? Even more sensational, and I feel like that's something I'm enjoying now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, which brings up a great question that you have to ask yourself. What is the reason for, me building my name, my brand? And so a few examples, it can be directly to increase your business in one way or another, whether that's raising capital, finding new partners. It can be impact specific. So maybe you've already done some incredible things in your life, and now you just want to do this as pure give back content, inspiration. You want to hear from that person 6 months from now that says, Anthony, I've been following you, and I finally broke through my first 6 figures in business or something like that, and that feels really good, and you're out there making an impact. So it's important to like be clear about what it is you'd like to do, because you have some people that are in the impact area of actions, but they're trying to get an ROI. And so they're curious, but they're confused as to how come I'm not getting clients? How come I'm not seeing any progress? And it's like, well, what you're doing is you started a podcast, and it's basically a hobby, and you're doing it for fun, and it's really sweet and nice that you invite people on. But if you really want to grow your name in your business, well, then I would recommend Anthony needs to go get on the other big boys or big girls podcasts and level up big time, which, by the way, is going to increase the guests and the credibility of the guests that want to come back onto your podcast later down the road as well.
In the old days, there were things like the yellow pages. If you wanted to go find a business, you'd go flip through the yellow. I don't know. Did you ever see a yellow pages?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
All right. So yellow pages, all right. You go in there and, they flip. That doesn't exist today. People need to see you in the digital world. Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is getting a digital presence that has it in multiple platforms, right? So your branding and your brand identity is seen in those platforms. Now, how do you stand out from, back in the phone book days, you'd be an A or AAA. If you ever see how many AAA insurance companies there are, you'd figure out, why are they all AAA? Well, they want to be the first guy in the phone book, right? Yeah. Or AAA right. Towing, or AAA. And you're like, well, so in the towing section, they were first. And that makes some sense. And what you're saying is, I think what you're saying is, in order to be seen in the digital world, right, you've got to agree. It can't just be this small little, hey, I'm doing my podcast over here. You got to get loud. You got to get viciously loud. And that's going to be what really has you get a presence to be able to be of value. Then you can do whatever work you want to do from there. Yeah.
There is the goal to be seen, and then there's the goal to be sought after. Okay. And so when you look at, and anybody listening can take 10 minutes, and it should only take 10 minutes. Look at your own Instagram, look at your LinkedIn, look at your YouTube, Google your own name. Okay. Go to your Instagram. If you cannot clearly in 5 seconds see who you are, what you do, what level you operate at in business. Okay. And then within 5 seconds, clearly see some quality content. By the way, doesn't need to be this, $20,000 camera equipment, content. It doesn't need to be that. People just need to be able to understand clearly and quickly who you are, what you do, and how you could possibly help them, impact them. Okay. And so a few things that are going to make a big difference. And again, this is controversial, so some people don't like to hear this, but this is just what I've gathered over a few thousand individuals and looking at the feedback. When they go to your Instagram account, they see your profile picture, your bio. The first thing people are looking at is, how many followers does Anthony have? Okay.
That's right.
That's what they're asking.
Yeah, look.
Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's funny, but that's, yeah. Here, my kids, when I broke 40,000 followers on YouTube, my kids noticed. Up until then, they were like, who, what are you doing, Dad? Oh, it's Dad's little hobby thing he does. All of a sudden, one day, one of my daughters comes up and she goes, Dad, you got 50,000 followers on YouTube. Holy cow, you're amazing. Like all of a sudden, it was like, that's look, you know how you are with your kids. I mean, your kids looking down like they're, but all of a sudden you had 40,000 followers, and that started a whole a chain reaction, right?
Well, what's funny, Anthony, is the people that I hear the stories from, including the people that I get feedback from why they would do business with me, it's just like what your kids are saying. In fact, even when we're adults, that doesn't go away. It is the smallest inclination that you are someone special, someone different, that gives them the initiative or the want. Okay, so I have had people come to me and say, Jeremy, we didn't invite your client onto our TV show until he had 75,000 plus followers in it. And the minute that happened, just like that, he gets the invite. Okay, so I share that not to say having 100,000, 100,050, having 500,000 followers, a million followers, it does not make you a better person. Okay, you still have to show up and follow through and be who you say you are, but it will, without a doubt, increase the amount of people that respond to you, the amount of people that connect with you. When they Google your name and they find you on different podcasts, even you inviting me to have this conversation right now adds a layer of credibility. Someone could take 5 minutes to listen to my speech or my talk with you, and they could say, I love the way Jeremy communicates, or maybe I don't. But either way, I'd like them to make that clear decision so we can move forward and continue to kind of make impact in our businesses.
So let's talk about that. So when you work with folks and help them really break through that, when you're working on that, is it tell me how that happens? Is it a team approach? You're taking a group of people and you're attacking all of the aspects of their social media life?
So we work with each of our members one by one, okay, because each of them has a different unique background. They have their own personal brand, right? And of course, the goal is to elevate and grow, you, and make sure that people really see you, Anthony, clearly, so that they can understand who you are. Like I said, understand who you are, what level you operate at in business, and kind of be able to clearly get an idea of your personality so that they can make a decision. Okay. And again, that's correlated to either your impact, your business, or your end goal. Okay. What decision are people actually making? And so what we'll do is our members will come in and they'll go through an entire process, 18-month initial foundation journey, and we'll help them do everything from these massive influencer campaigns, okay, where we take them from 0 to 100,000 plus followers in the first 6 months, okay, and then we'll move them into an incredible podcast PR push, and they'll do anywhere from 30 to 100 plus appearances, podcasts, articles, etc. And then we'll move into the business development phase. And that's where they have to get really clear and specific. We help them get clear on what the end goal actually is. So is it to close more deals? That's what's going to make you happy and move your life forward. Is it to give back because you've already created success? Is it to just build relationships, partnerships, endorsements? And so we get really clear on that. And then our team does a push to build those relationships and those connections, right? Take the online, and take it offline so they can move the actual business forward.
Look, and all of us are out there. For me, it's been it's taken a school of hard knocks. I didn't get to have a coach like you. It was years and years and years of trying to figure this thing out, going, all right, how am I going to get the people to see who we are out there? And it was literally that way. And having a coach, I didn't even know there was a availability of having a coach to help you create that, right? I talk about coaching as one of the biggest secrets in my business world, right? It's something that really propelled my, to break the $85 million mark, to be able to break the all 50 states mark, to be able to break this type of companies that we are, the number of companies that I have. And it's been able to break all of those. But having a social media influence or support coach was something that I didn't even know they had. I think that's another one to know out there. Most people don't even know that they have that ability to do that.
Yeah. And as an example for my relationship with my members, okay, I would think of it as someone who is in the ring with you, okay, a strategist and somebody. I'm here to help you understand the things that you already know, you already have inside you, but we have to bring it to light and create the right framework, get you on the right path. And honestly, the biggest problem, the biggest challenge that people have when we first meet is they are just so unclear about why they want to do why they want to pursue building a name, building a brand. And so once they get clear on that, right? Once you can kind of figure out what's my destination, then you can start to go fast. And then you can start to quickly move towards that. So yeah, I mean, a coach, strategist, that's certainly just one piece of our process, because we have an entire team that takes care of everything for our members, from the influencer campaigns to booking their PR to building out their business development and relationships. They get to just show up and do what they do best, right? So I created that process to solve my own problem first. I did not want to spend all of my time on social media, although I really want to utilize it, okay, and have it bring me new opportunities so I can go impact and move my business forward as well, right?
Let's go into that. What happened? How did you get into this? Which, by the way, audience, if you guys don't know, Jeremy lives in Portugal. He created a whole life for himself, living in another country, being able to travel and do what he's doing from around the world. I think it's a neat thing to say about the lifestyle you've been able to create for yourself. So, talk to me a little bit about how did you end up here? How did this idea come to you?
Yeah. So 19 years old, I get introduced to network marketing. Okay. I start having a little bit of success. I built this affiliate network of like 5,000 people. And then I get a call a few years later and they shut down overnight. And so I was left in my early 20s, and I looked back and I was like, man, if I could have done one thing more, I would have built my name just as much as any company, product, or industry. And so in my early 20s, that led me on this kind of mission, started getting curious about, what if I could represent myself at such a high level and create a name for myself that no matter what I end up doing in the future, I can bring my network and my relationships through all of that. Right. And so that's what we started doing. I ended up, having a prior business partnership, went down to South Florida and Miami, and was privileged to kind of work and look around. I had a mentor that helped people like Grant Cardone and Patrick Bet-David and Damon John, Kevin O'Leary, you name it, help these guys go reach their first 1 million followers. And so I started reinvesting in my own brand and doing exactly that. And that's what started to lead me to stages and being able to speak with people like Grant Cardone, being able to get on other podcasts, being able to, create new relationships through social media. And I would ask people in the beginning, I would say, hey, so-and-so, hey, Anthony, just curious, what made you want to even take this call with me?
Yeah, right.
And they'd say, well, to be honest, Jeremy, the first thing I noticed was, you had 50,000 followers on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Right away. Now, again, if you're gonna go do harm, I have a saying in my company, which is, I don't want to make bad people more popular. Okay. So if you're somebody that's looking to kind of, make everyone else's lives worse, then I don't want to see you grow. I don't want to see you have a big name. And no one cares if you're the guy that has, 100,000 plus followers and all you do is post pictures of, the Lamborghinis and the, and the rented cars and all this other crap because you want to, scam people or bring them through your shitty product. Okay. So I hope you figure out truly what kind of impact or business you want to build. We want to help our members. And that's kind of the criteria. Okay. I want to help people that have a real mission, that actually want to go out and make a difference in their market, that actually want to go and inspire. And I believe that's why 5, 6, 7 years later, I could pick up the phone and call any one of my members that has gone through an entire journey. Okay. And we're still in that ring together. Right. Does that make sense? So
no, that's great. How do you start to figure out success with brand and influencers? How do you start to build those influencer relationships for each of your partners?
Yeah, I think it starts with, again, figuring out what their real end goal is. Okay. And that changes over time, because the first day that we start talking, your concerns are usually, how do I post? What kind of content should I put out? I hear this all the time. I'm not a social media person. Right. I've never done a podcast before. So there's so much groundwork that has to happen to get somebody prepared for even the concept of like doing some really, really big, unique, curated opportunities. But that foundation is the most important. And those first few phone calls, yeah, go ahead. Those are the most important.
So I was in Florence last week, and I'm building a school in India with this great Krishna guy, right? His name is Rupa, and Rupa lives in Florence, and while I was there, I said, "Hey, you want to get together and have some? Have a morning on It was Saturday. Want to have lunch and get together?" He goes, "Yeah, you want to come check out the Krishna temple in Florence?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Look, it's an old Machiavelli mansion." He goes, you want to see?" I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to come see it." Right, and I always love seeing people in their religion. I got to go to this amazing Machiavelli 80-acre ranch and or plantation and the Krishna the folks have a museum there with this great artwork, but you could tell that their uh, their base of people are kind of dying out a little bit. They were really popular in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and their popularity is just changing, right? I'm like, look, they're competing with a whole bunch of world influence, a lot of stuff out there, and I was talking to the president, or essentially the head of the organization, and we were having lunch all together, and he's like, "Look, I don't know how to do any of this social media stuff. I don't know. I don't know how to do any of it." I'm like, "Look, you have to. Look, they had this. We were having lunch in this great vegetarian restaurant they have on property. I'm like, look, this place is empty. Like, look,
Mm,
even if you just the popularity of this restaurant could fund the stuff that's happening in the rest of the property over here, or this place should be full of yoga retreats but their their hurdle is this brain thing that they're these spiritual beings, and they don't. Well, we're spiritual. We don't know how to do that social media stuff. And I'm like, nonsense. You have to do both. Look, today's world is being cluttered with so much information coming at them. No one's going to see you or even have the ability to join your Krishna consciousness without having a social media presence. And you're going to have to get off your ass of this "I don't know how to do it" stuff and start and bring in and find some folks to help you through that process.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean that example is definitely on the extreme side of not being a social media person. But
Yeah,
to your point, every single person I talk to says that exact same thing.
yeah,
And look, you're right. I mean, you learn how to drive, you learn how to build a business,
yes,
you fail, and people are scared. They are so scared to fail with their own name, right? To put up a picture that isn't perfect, to make a video that isn't perfect, to do this podcast and possibly say something silly. And the reality is you have to create the mindset to not give, okay? To not let other people's opinions, to not worry about what anybody else is thinking. And if you can do that, I promise very quickly you'll be the one leading the way, people asking you, how are you doing it? I see you on social, it's inspiring. That's because you have made the decision to actually put yourself out there and go for it, right? So,
yeah. Look, no one knows how to do that. No one was born a social media expert. Sorry,
no.
it wasn't possible. You did not wake up and come out of the womb and go, "Oh, look, I'm going to figure out how to be an Instagram pro." It didn't happen. It's all at bats and reps and finding coaching, and same thing with business. Look, you don't come out being an entrepreneur. You might have ideas, and look, I do believe ultimately we are all creators, right? There was one inside of me that when I get rid of all of my anxieties and fears and all that stuff and get out in the world and really create, I think we ultimately are all creators, and that's the gift of entrepreneurship or business leadership or social media, is that you get to play in the realm of creation, right? Bring
Right.
ideas that did not exist from the nowhere, right? It was out in the middle of the ether. I took an idea that did not exist. There was no physicalness to this idea. I brought it into my brain as an idea, and then I brought it into the world as a physical being, a company, a being, a thing, an idea, a recipe, an artwork, whatever it is that you're creating,
Yeah.
right? That started as an idea that ends up in a physical world. That's really magic. I
Yeah.
mean, when you think about it, it's essentially like black magic. I mean, people are like, how do you do that? I'm like, look, that's the realm of creativity. And as we start to do that, same thing happens with social media, right? As we start to bring these ideas from not knowing how to do them, right, and finding folks like you that can bring me and go, look, I need a camp. I need a course. I need a process that's, maybe it's 18 months to get through this process that's going to build on my foundations. It's going to build on my learning, and I can bring those things to it. And ultimately, by doing that, I'm now going to be able to do this much, much faster.
Yeah,
Right?
and just accept that, just like the playing field of business changes every single month, every single year, so does social. And so this idea that one person is the expert and the know-all, that's going to, give you the answer, give you the quote unquote perfect content strategy, how to grow properly. Look, if anyone tells you that they know the one and only way, that's a big red flag. I would be very, very cautious. Okay. Instagram, YouTube, all of these platforms, they change every single quarter. So if you can, yeah, go ahead.
What are some of the trends you're seeing right now with that are shaping the industry right now?
Well, here's what I want to say to this. The trends are trends, and they come and go over many, many, many years. And so, one of the biggest horror stories I see is when someone gets too caught up in trying to be only in the trend, the 30-day trend, the TikTok dance. Oh, I need to make a market update video for my real estate people out there. Look, think about this logically. Just because every other person is doing the same exact video, and it is like robot down to the script and down to exactly how they're doing it, that doesn't mean that that's what you should do. And it also doesn't mean that's how you're going to have real success with a personal brand. The reason you follow, let's say, the celebrity that you like or the superstar that you like, the reason you follow them is they have something unique that they do, that they've figured out over a long period of time, and they've continued to test it and test it and test it. So I actually don't encourage any of my people to follow a trend or to try and trick the algorithm to give you better numbers today or tomorrow, because it's such short-term thinking that you'll burn out. You'll question, why the hell am I doing this? Right? The real goal is, let's get you confident about who you are. Let's get you excited about what you can share and who you can impact. Let's get you clear on the end goal, the business that can happen, the money you can make, the relationships you can create. When you're excited and clear about all those things, you do not even worry about a freaking trend. Okay. You go back to a Gary Vaynerchuk, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and this dude is sipping wine and spitting into a bucket, okay, on his videos, and the quality is terrible. And he did what he enjoyed doing. He put it out there, and over many, 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 many years, he became extremely confident in who he is. And now you see this person today. Okay, now you say, wow, look at how resilient, look at all the businesses he's impacting. The brand is humongous, it's everywhere. Okay, that happened over many, many years of just getting confident and clear on why you are there, what you want to do, not trying to follow a trend.
It's some great advice. That's some great stuff. I think as we're looking at building these big brands, your brand identity, and building that out, and finding that voice, finding your, and I think that's a lot of it's just being able to stand in front of a mic or in front of a camera and be able to be you, right? I mean,
Yeah,
because people want you. They want they don't want you to be somebody else you're trying to the act that you're trying to be. They want you to be you.
right,
Someone once said to me, "Once you have your act together, what do you have?" And I'm like, "Your act." And
right.
nobody they want you. They want that one of you. Look, when you watch Gary, he's crazy confident in who he is, and it doesn't give a f. He'll tell you, "I don't give a fuck about." Excuse me, I shouldn't be cussing,
Yeah,
but he actually says that. I'm like, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
care about what anybody says, right? He'll blow it all up and say, "This is just how I do it." And I think there's a confidence in that being that is palpable, that people are just dying to be around, people that can just, stop and be, confident. They want that confidence.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on something here, or you brought an idea to my mind, which is your personal brand. If you want to start, okay, and in creating the first really powerful steps in getting your name, getting people to clearly see you, it is not trying to figure out what is your one liner going to be. It's not trying to figure out, am I a Gary Vaynerchuk, or am I a, Jeff Bezos, or am I a, Elon Musk? Okay. What you should do is make sure that on your profile, people can clearly see some photos of you, some simple, clear images. It could just be you with a friend, you with family, you with a business partner, you guys out to lunch or out to dinner, you with the little kids, the little ones, or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your travel, your three categories: professional, personal, and hobbies and lifestyle. If you can just get some images of these, a balance of your life here, okay? Because by the way, no one wants to hear about your business 24/7, and no one wants to just hear about your personal life 24/7. So it's a balance for anybody that's in a professional industry, thinking that they need to talk about mortgage, talk about construction, talk about real estate in order to be a big name in that industry. You have it completely backwards. If you, Anthony, can show me that you are, let's say, a father, a husband, you enjoy hiking, you like traveling, you like to golf, and I can get to know you through your brand. Now I'm interested in hearing about your construction. Now I'm interested in maybe in doing a deal, investing, buying, connecting. And so people get this so backwards. We spend so much time trying to be the professional and show people, look at what I do, and this is how great of a real estate agent I am. And they have it completely backwards. People just want to connect with you first, and then we'll do business.
The problem is, I feel like there. I don't know if it's the Christian um, background of our country that there was some sort of way that you were supposed to be, right? I don't know about you guys, but I never felt like I was good enough for religion. I always felt like there was a mountain with no top, and there was always this sense of like something was missing. Like no matter how much I tried, I could never be good enough for them. And I don't know if that's what's stopping people from getting. Hey, look, there's good, bad, and ugly with me every day. I mess things up. I try conversations on that. I say something. I would, I'll say something that means one thing to me, and it'll come out and be heard by someone else in a different way. And I don't know if in the world, if some of that history, we came from, image consciousness that came from our parents or their beliefs, and that got layered onto us. So all of a sudden now we're waiting to say the perfect thing, and there is no perfect thing. There literally is no perfect thing. There's me, the being trying to be a human. I don't know that you're ever going to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no perfect piece of content. There's no perfect image. There's no perfect speech. There's no perfect podcast. Um, you know, the biggest challenge and kind of rewiring that I have to do with a lot of my guys is stop trying to control everything and just do more of all of it. Just do more of what feels good, do more of what you with the people that you want to connect with, do more of the podcasts you enjoy doing and less of the ones you don't. That is the overall depiction. But if somebody says, well, I got a message from Anthony. He doesn't really seem like my client, or he doesn't seem like, my partner style. I don't want to waste my time. I promise you, you are missing opportunity. I promise you, trying to control and say, I don't think I need to do this podcast. I only want to do this one. You're missing out. You're missing out on audience. You're missing out on a great relationship that you might build with someone. You never know. Okay. And so social is there. A brand is there to open up doors. Okay. Unless you are already spending 10, 20, $30,000 a day on marketing, and you are very, very clear as to what your audience and your target is. If you're already doing that, great. But if not, you need to allow those doors to open and find out.
So let me ask you this: Are the guys like Vivek and all these other influencers, are they spending that kind of money a day to get seen out there? Or, I mean, is that what it takes to do that first blow up? I mean, is there, because that's a lot of us aren't, in that realm. I mean, I am, and I've got money, I can do that, but maybe other people out there that can't. Look, I mean, a lot of young social media folks are rubbing two sticks together to start a fire,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah. And you should, okay? You want to figure out what is my brand, and I keep saying this, but what is my end goal? So the brand for someone who, let's say, doesn't have a massive business yet, doesn't have a ton of cash flow or a ton of revenue put aside. So their goal should be to build relationships to hopefully benefit and impact their business. Okay. So maybe they have a product, maybe they have a coaching program, maybe they have maybe they're a real estate agent, investor, etc. They need to build a brand to get them more of that end goal and start to grow their foundation. Okay, so
So
there's
say that again. So let's say that again so people can hear that.
you need to get very clear on what end goal that's going to impact your real life, your business, okay? Whether it's finding investors for your company, whether it's doing more deals. If you're in a place where you don't have a ton of capital, you need to use social and be very, very specific and logical about it. I need to go connect with the people that I can benefit and that they can benefit me today. Okay. Do
That's
that
awesome.
quickly. If I were to give you any advice, this is the most tedious but the most beneficial thing you could possibly do, and no one does it because they think it'd be a waste of time. Go send 10, 20, 50, 100 messages every single day to your possible target demographic for business, for new relationships, for new connections. I promise you, it is still a process that we deploy for hundreds of our members every day. So while they're on their journey, while they're running their business and they're already busy, they have a team of people contacting directly hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people every month, opening up new relationships, new doors, new business. So if you're in the beginning and you're rubbing two sticks together right now, you don't have the excuse of saying, well, that seems tedious and that's going to take a lot of time. Yeah, you need to put aside 1, 2, 3, 4 hours a day and go attack and go connect with people so that you can build up your business. And then, yes, eventually, bring in a team like ours to expedite everything else and really put the gasoline on the fire. But if you do that in the beginning, I promise you'll find out more about your target demographic, who actually likes you, who actually wants to engage with you. You'll increase all of those other things like comments and likes and actual followers by going out and really connecting with people.
Nice. Jeremy, I got to tell you, you are a wealth of information, knowledge. I want people to be able to connect with you. I know there's a lot of folks out there looking for a coach to help them build their personal brand. They're doing it. I get this calls. People ask me every day, how are you doing this? What do I need to do? How do I find a coaching? You're the right person for them to connect up with. How do they catch up with you?
They can connect with me on Instagram at Jeremy Bishop. So hopefully, Anthony, maybe you'll throw.
I'll put all that down below. I'll have all that in the comments down below.
And I'll also provide a link to our VIP page, so it shows a ton of examples of our members, the journeys they've gone through, and kind of the brands that they've built. And there are a bunch of buttons they can click to just book a call. Our team, if you'd like to have just a no risk strategy call with one of our team, happy to help. We would love to, at least worst case scenario, give you some action steps if you're in the really early stages of business. If you've already built a successful business and you think you deserve a bigger brand, yeah, this would be the time to stop waiting and actually connect with somebody.
We'll put that all down below. It'll be connections. Folks, look, if you're looking to build that personal brand, this is the time to do that. Look, your ego, your brain, all that, you guys know I call Fred in your head, that's stopping you right now. If you're tired of being stuck and you're looking for a coach to get you out of that stuckness that you're in, bring on a coach that will help you build your brand. Jeremy, it's been a great podcast. I really have enjoyed the information, knowledge that you bring to the table.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Anthony. And I hope everybody can just take something away from this and go take some action, go move forward.
Awesome. Folks, we're grateful for you all listening. Last week we had over 4,500 downloads on the podcast. We broke the 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. Amazing work that our audience is doing. But I noticed a lot of you guys made it to the end of the podcast, but did not. We're not subscribers. Those of you that aren't a subscriber yet, if you could like and subscribe and do that now, it makes a world of difference to everybody in the background, Alyssa and Joe and me, all the work that we're doing to get great guests like Jeremy on. It does make a difference. Yeah, we just heard about it. It makes a world of difference as we continue to break through these great numbers. Looking for your support on that. So if you could do that now for us, I would be grateful. And as always, thanks for listening.